The Messiah and Elijah Part 1. There is an issue to examine concerning God's dispensation that led Jesus to the way of the cross. God had repeatedly prophesied to the chosen people about the coming of the Messiah, and the same chosen people waited for him and held in their hearts the promise of his coming. Could God have sent the Messiah in such a way that the chosen people would not have been able to recognize him? Was it God's will that they should fail to recognize and accept the Messiah? Or did the people fail to recognize him even though God had clearly shown them how he would come? To find answers to these questions, let us first examine the second coming of Elijah. In the Old Testament prophetic book of Malachi, it is said, "Behold, I send you Elijah the prophet, before the day of the Lord comes, great and dreadful." Malachi 3:23. The great and fearful day referred to is the time when the Messiah comes, and therefore this prophecy shows that before the Messiah comes, Elijah must return. Malachi 4:5. Elijah was a great prophet of Israel and lived 9 centuries before Jesus. It was written of him that he ascended to heaven in a chariot of fire. 2 Kings 2:11. The Israelites, as they awaited the Messiah, were indeed very attentive to the arrival of the prophet Elijah. This was because the Old Testament did not predict with certainty when the Messiah would come, but it clearly indicated that Elijah would precede him. It was under these circumstances that Jesus appeared, proclaiming himself the Messiah. He told the Jewish people that he was the Son of God, to the very people who thought he was only a young Nazarene. They had had no news of the coming of Elijah, so they asked, "How can Jesus of Nazareth be the Son of God?" Therefore, when Jesus' disciples went among the Israelites bearing witness to him, the people doubted that Jesus was the Messiah and disputed the disciples, asking them where Elijah was, since the latter was to precede the Messiah. So Jesus' disciples returned and asked him, "Why then do the scribes say that Elijah must come first?" Matt 17:10. Jesus replied, "Of course Elijah will come and restore everything. I tell you, however, that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did against him as much as they wished." Then the disciples understood that he had spoken to them about John the Baptist. Matthew 17:11-13. Jesus understood the importance of the scribes' question and explained that John the Baptist represented the second coming of Elijah. Jesus' disciples could easily believe him, but the Israelites did not, because John the Baptist did not descend directly from heaven, and he himself denied being Elijah. Now this was John's testimony when the Jewish leaders in Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to ask him who he was. He did not fail to confess, but confessed freely, "I am not the Messiah." They asked him, "Then who are you? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." John 1:19-21.